Hi, Debbie here. So let's get started making this box album. So the first thing we're going to do is start getting all the pieces to construct our box. So the first thing you're going to need to do is get your chipboard, and medium weight's a good weight for that, and which is what I'm using. And what you're going to need to do, and also to let you know, the measurements are going to be listed in the description box below, so you can go over and check those out also. But we're going to need that out of the chipboard. We're going to need one piece that is 4 7/8 by 6 1/4. You'll need two pieces that are 4 7/8 by 4 1/2, and you'll need two pieces that are 4 1/2 by 6 1/4. And then I'm going to go do that, and I'll show you what mine looks like. Okay, so this is what you should have. This is how we're going to line them up, because the one that is 4 7/8 by 6 1/4, that's going to be the back of the box. And then the two that we did that are 4 1/2 by 6 1/4, those are going to be the sides. And then the top and bottom, those are going to be 4 7/8, 4 7/8 by 4 1/2. And those are going to go here. Now to put this box together, we put them with little hinges. So what you're going to need to do is, with your cardstock, you're going to need to cut strips that are 1 inch across, and I'll let you know how many that, what size to make them. But they're going to be 1 inch. They're all going to be 1 inch across, and the hinges are going to be, you'll need 8 pieces of the strips that are 1 inch by 4 1/2. You'll need 6 that are 1 inch by 4 7/8, and then you'll need another 6 that are 1 inch by 6 1/4. So go cut those, and I'll come back and I'll show you what we're going to be doing next. Okay, I've got all mine cut out, and what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to go to your scoreboard, and you need to score each of these down the middle. So that means you're going to score at a 1/2 inch. So you're going to take all your little hinges, go to your scoreboard, and score them all at a 1/2 inch. Okay, so after you've scored them all at a 1/2 inch, you're going to want to fold them, and then you're going to want to, if you're going to use score tape, you're going to need to put your score tape inside each one of these. But you're going to stay away from the little score line here. If you're going to use wet glue, then you don't need to do anything right now. But right now, if you're going to use score tape, you need to put score tape on all your pieces. And then that's what I'm going to go do, and then I'll show you what mine looks like. Okay, I have all mine done. I have all my score tapes on. About the score tape, I usually use the 1/4 inch, because that's just what I'm used to using, because I also use wet glue with my score tape. So but if you want full coverage, you will find that the 3/8 score tape is perfect for this. So what you're going to, so you'll get a full, see how you get a full coverage with the 3/8. So if you want a full coverage, use the 3/8 score tape, and yeah, you'll get that. Now after you have score tape on all your hinges, what you're going to want to do is you want to take your hinge, and we're going to just cut in a little angle off the ends. Not a big cut, it's just a little, we're just going to taper it in just a little bit. Let me show you what, that went flying. I was going to show you what the pieces look like, but they're just little, it's just a little teeny tiny sliver. Just so you don't have any overhang when you get to the part when you start laying it down. I mean, you can use them straight across, and if you have overhang, you can just snip it off. It'll work both ways. But I just go ahead and just trim all my little corners. So why don't you go ahead and trim all your corners if you're going to, and then we'll start putting this box together. Okay, so let's start doing that. You're going to need 2 of the hinges that are 1 by 6 1/4. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach the back and the 2 sides first. So we can go ahead and we can move these out of the way, the top and the bottom, and I'll just move those over here, and we can do that. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to remove your score tape off only one side. We're only going to remove, see, it's folded like this. and then when you open it, just remove the score tape on the left side. Because what we're going to do is we're just going to tuck it under here to start. So that's what we're going to do. So I'll remove my score tape. And like I said, I like to use both wet glue and score tape. I've just been doing it this way for so long that that's just how I do it. I'm going to have to lean in a little bit. I'll try not to get in your way so I can see. So what you're going to do is just going to slide it in. You're going to go up to the score line, but don't go over it. And just line it up because it should fit exactly top to bottom. And that's why I use score tape so I can, so I have a little wiggle room. So yeah, I'm just pressing that down. So we got it in so it's it's going to look like that. There we go. And now what we're going to do is we're going to remove this piece. And we're going to attach it to this. Now I'm going to have to put my I'm in shot here. I'm not kidding. So what you're going to do is you're going to butt this up to this piece right here. Standing up though, not laying flat. It's got to stand all the way up, straight up, 45-degree angle, straight up. And then you just have to bring in your tape like this. And then once that's on, then you can lay it flat, and then you can burnish it like this. So it's going to be like that. So that's just, and we're going to do the exact same thing on this side, but I need to turn this around for me because I'm totally right-handed. I need it on this side. So we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. Remove your score tape. I'll add a little wet glue for me. Slide that in. Let me bring that over just a little so I can see how close I am. You can get pretty close. The main thing is just not going over it. Then you can lay that down. You can bring that over. And now we're going to do this side here. And the best glue for this is this art glitter glue. This is a really good, strong glue. Put it up, straight up, just right up against it. I need to do it this way. Make sure it's even. Then just bring up the back. I know it's hard for me to show you when I'm doing it this way, but I'm just bringing up the back, and then I'm just pushing it in with my fingers like that. Get it on there enough so that I can flip it over and then burnish it really good on the back. Okay, so this is what we have so far. I'm just going to go like this. These are our sides. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do is attach the top and the bottom. So let me get ready to do that and I'll be right back. Okay, to attach the top and the bottom, the size hinge you're going to need is the 1 by 4 7/8. So you'll need 2 of those to do that. And I'm going to need to turn my box so I can do it over like this. Now make sure when you turn, if you have to turn yours, that you make sure you line them up so that the right sides are together. So I'm just going to take this off. Add some glue. side, just, you know, up and down, top to bottom. Turn it this way so you can see. Burnish it really good. Okay, that's what we got. Now I'm just going to do this side. Okay, so now we've got it going. So far so good. This is what we have so good. So now all we need to do is start putting in our other hinges. So let me get the ones I need for that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so the next two pieces you're going to need are the 1 by 6 1/4, and you'll need 2 of the 1 by 4 7/8. And they're going to go, you know, like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the longer ones in first. And you're folding them so that your score tape is going to be on the outside, and you have this fold here. This is going to go up against the edge of your chipboard, that full piece right like that. Because then we're going to fold it down, then this piece will come up and attach to the back side like this. So let's go ahead and do these ones first. So I'll do this one with you. I just add a little glue. And I'm going to take it right to the edge, and it should fit right across top to bottom, and just go all the way to the edge without going over. And then just burnish it down. And then you'll have that one in. So that's that. Okay. So now we'll do the other side. Sorry if my head was in the way because I couldn't see. And then I'm going to burnish that down. And then I'm going to take the smaller ones, and I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to open these up, take the smaller ones, just go to the edge, and then just glue them down, and then I'll show you what mine looks like. Okay, so this is what you should have so far, is have these in like that. So what we're going to need now is we're going to need 4 of the hinges that are 1 by 4 1/2. That's what we're going to need next. We're going to need 4 of those because those are going to go on the outside of the top and bottom. You know, they're going to go in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to be aligning them up here and here and here. So just go all the way to the edge without going over. Make sure you leave one open on the outside. So one should be open on the outside. You're just going to be adhering it onto the chipboard on the inside on all those 4. Okay, so let's do that and then I'll show you what mine looks like. Oh, I just want to tell you real quick, when we're putting these down, make sure you lift these out of the way because we're not attaching it to this. So we're going to be pushing that out of the way and we're just putting it on like that. Yeah, I need to make sure you knew that, to leave this alone. Okay, just add it, just put your hinge on your chipboard like that. Okay, what we're going to do next is different than the one this is the one that I was practicing on. I'm going to do this one a little bit differently than I did that one. So on the side, because it normally looks like this with your side flaps, I'm going to turn it because I need to work at this angle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the bottom strip here, and on the side flaps I'm going to remove this flip and then this one. I mean, remove the score tape backing. And then I'm going to bring this up, and then I'm going to take this and bring it in. It's going to go in like this, and just align it up. And you bring it in, because that's going to be down. You'll align it up, you know, with your corners to make sure they're together. Align those up. Now I'm going to need to do that. I'll try to do that with you. It might be a little difficult with me, so I have to really move in. But let me see if I can do this with you. So we're going to take the backing for this one, the backing off of this one, and the backing off of this one. And I have this little glue here. A lot of glue. Don't need too much more glue. Geez, I need some wiggle room, but I don't think so. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this one up first, the back, all the way up where I want it to be. I'm just gently just tacking it right. I'm just pushing down, not going all the way yet, because I want to make sure I'm where I want to be when I line this one up here. And then I'm going to bring this one in. Make sure I'm all the way where I want to be with this one. Hold on. So let me see what we've got here. So this is what I have. It looks like it came out. It might be hard to tell. But so what I need to do is I need to burnish these a little bit. So I'm just going to go in there with my foam foil, burnish those hinges down really well. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to come in. See how we still have score tape on this flap, these 2 flaps right here. We need to just remove that. So you can just go in there with your little tool and just take those out. There we go. Since this is already up, you can just bring those in. You can just go ahead and just bring that down. So that's what we've got here. So now we're going to do the same thing on this side. We're going to remove the score tape packing on both of these, and then we're just going to bring that up. So let me do that. make sure I have it the way I want it. As far as, yeah, okay, that's good. I want this hinge to be in front of that one. So I'm just going to make sure I do that. Bring it in. Yeah, see, I want that in. And then this one. I'm not 100% sure if that makes a big difference, but that's just what I want. Then I need to bring this up and make sure I have that all the way aligned. I'm sorry I had to bring the box up to me to do that so I can see. And then make sure this one's all the way aligned. I'm just going in there and burnishing all these hinges really well. Okay, so this is what we should have so far. So now all we knew is we need to put hinges on the outside. So let me get mine together up and then we'll do that part and I'll be right back. Okay, you should have 4 of the 1 by 4.5 inch hinges. What we're going to do is just going to remove our score tape backing and place it right on the corners of all 4 corners like this. So let's do that and I'll show you what mine looks like. Okay, I have all my hinges on the outside. So now all we need to do is put the ones on the top. You should have 2 left that are, what was that? What were they? 1 by 6 1/4. You should have 2 of those. And you should also have 2 of the 1 by 4 7/8. So the larger ones are going to go on the larger flaps and the shorter ones are going to go on the shorter flaps like that. So let's do that and I'll show you what mine looks like. Okay, I have all the hinges on, so just make sure you go around your box and make sure you burnish everything really, really well. All the way around, through the whole thing. And this is as far as we're going to go as far as the box goes. The next thing I want to start doing is getting the albums put together, because I want to work on the chipboard and the cardstock all together while I have it out. So we're going to go ahead and just set this aside and I'm going to get set up and we'll start making our little albums. Okay, so let's get our chipboard cut out for our albums. Now we're going to be making 3 albums, so it's going to be, so what you're going to need for the albums is you're going to need 6 pieces that are 4 1/4 by 6 1/8, and you'll need 3 pieces that are 1 3/8 by 6 1/8, and I'll show you what mine looks like. Okay, so what you should have is you should have 6 of these that are 4 1/4 by 6 1/8. This is going to be for your front and back covers. And then you should also have 3 of these that are 1 3/8 by 6 1/8, and these are for your spine. So we've got all those cut out. So now we need to get our cardstock, and I'll show what we're going to do with those to wrap these. Okay, you need to get your cardstock. And what you're going to want to do with your cardstock is you're going to want to cut 3 pieces that are 8 1/4 by 12. So they're 12 across by 8 1/4 this way. And we're going to need 3 of those because we're doing 3 albums. And after you cut those, you're going to want to draw a 1-inch border on just 2 sides. So on, I need to tilt this so I can see. So I want a 1-inch border here. And this is going to help keep everything straight and aligned. And then I'm going to put a 1-inch border down here. So when I lay my album to wrap it, I'm just going to line it right up where these come, and then I'll have this line here to keep me straight with the rest of them. So do that, and we'll go to the next. Okay, so you should have your pieces with your 1-inch borders. So what we're going to do is we're going to take, I'm going to put another strip down the middle of each one of these. I wasn't going to originally, but I changed my mind. Because these little albums are strictly just to hold photos, so there's really no embellishments, and there's not going to be anything tugging on them or anything with any weight. So you could probably get away without having to put a strip down the middle. Yeah, because they fit inside a box, so there's really no room for any kind of really dimensional kind of embellishments. I mean, you could probably get away with using really pretty stickers, but other than that, you're not going to be able to do too much more than that, or you won't have room for your photos. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove the backing here. And I do add just a little bit of glue on mine. And then I just align it where I have my mark. I need to tilt it this way for me just a little bit so I can see. And I probably will come in with my head. I apologize, because I gotta find out where that line is. So this is where I'm at. Okay, so there's that one. Let me do this one. And you really don't, if you have score tape that's sticking out, you really don't have to worry about that with this, because everything's getting wrapped anyway, so the score tape isn't going to be a problem. So if a little bit sticks out, you don't need to worry about. Not for this part anyway. On some things, yes, you do have to make sure it's not in the way, but for this, it's okay. See if I can get this up. Come on, there we go. Now what you're going to want to do before you put this piece down, get yourself a scrap piece of chipboard, and because I'm going to use that as like a guide as far as how far away I want my spine to be from my cover, because I want it to be the same thickness as my chipboard. So what I do is I just take a piece and just put it in here and just hold that while I line it. I just have it up against here, and then I use that, and I just lean up against that with my, and that way I know I'm where I want to be as far as my thickness goes. I need to make sure I'm right here. And it's hard when you're leaning over. Certain way. Let me get that back in here. I don't like the way that looked. That didn't look right. There we go. That looks better. Much better. Yeah, that definitely was off. So, yeah. There we go. Do this way. In case. It comes in handy when I have to move things around sometimes. Right doesn't take much art glitter glue. So let me, I'm going to bring this a little bit closer. Can you still see me? I just need to bring it just a little bit closer. So I'm going to do that again. Make sure I'm right up where I need to be. Then I can just burnish the back side. Very good. Now we do have to miter the corners, and to do that I just take this ruler here and I just stick it on the corner because it's 1/8 of an inch wide on the bottom, and I want to be about 1/8 of an inch away from my chipboard when I cut, because I'm going to be tucking in a little piece. So I just make a little mark with my ruler. Or you can, you can just eyeball it and just don't cut all the way to the chipboard. And then what I do is I'm just going to cut this. And that just leaves me a little room to tuck that in there so it covers up the black chipboard. So let me just cut this off. Trying to stay in frame here. So that's what we're going to do here. So this is what we have right now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take some score tape and I'm going to go all the way around this in score tape. So let me tilt it this way because I'm over here and it's just a little bit easier for me to work in it like that. And then I'm also take it around the edge of the cardstock. You're going to burnish these really well. Okay, now we just need to, we're not going to remove any of the score tape yet, we're just going to condition our paper as to how we want it to go over the album. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to bring it in. It'll just make it easier once you remove score tape. Everything's kind of like already ready to go in place here. Okay. Alright. So now we can remove the score tape. Glue, a little bit of glue, mainly right where the chipboard and the cardstock, right in that little seam there. Make sure you have right along the edge here. Okay, and we just fold it in. This can be depending on the type of, the weight of your paper, because the heavier your paper, the harder it's going to be to. Okay, so that's this one. And now we're just going to do the same on this side here. Alright, I'm just going to do these one in. Before I bring these edges in, I'm going to fold in. Remember we left that little space up here? I'm going to fold that little guy in, right in here, on both sides. So we have that in, covering up that spot. Just make sure I'm in frame. Over here, and those corners in. Those up. Okay, now let's go around and burnish this really good. Okay, so that's covered. Now this cardstock that I'm using is a heavier cardstock, so I'm very, very carefully going to bend these flaps in, or bend the page, the covers up. So I'm going to be doing this very slowly, because the thicker or heavier your paper is, the more of a chance of it, coming apart or ripping a little bit on here. But even if that does happen to me, I was planning on taking a piece of paper anyway and going over it. But if you're not, you're going to want to make sure you're very careful not to or try real hard, or just use a lighter weight. Yeah, this is gonna, I do this very slowly. So while I'm doing that, because I do this very slowly, I'm going to go ahead and do this, and then I'll come back and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so this is what I have. So this is what I have. Now, what I'm going to be doing for the spine is I have the little ring fasteners that I need to attach to the back of the spine here, so that when the books are in the box, you can just pull the little ring and pull these out of the box. Oops. So I need to decide what pattern paper I want for here before I make my little hole. And also, since I'm going to be going all the way through, I need to do that before I put my hidden hinge in here, because I want the brad to be covered up. So let me go see what paper I want for my spine, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I picked out the pieces. Now I already made my 3 albums, so you're going to probably want to go ahead and do that too, so that you know what papers you're going to need and how much. Because if you do one at a time, you might not have enough to do all 3 with a certain pattern that you want to use. But the one I decided to use for my spine is the little pink flowered one, and it's on the paper. See this paper here with the little birdhouse? It's on the back of that one. So I just cut off enough for my 3 albums from this piece of paper right here. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get this centered where I want it to be, and I am going to actually glue this on, and then I'll find out where I want to put my little fastener ring. So I'm going to have a little bit of a border. See, when you close it all the way up, you'll have a little bit of border all the way around of the craft paper. You'll see the craft paper all the way around. And so that's all I'm going to do here. I originally was going to take a piece and go wrap it around, but I changed my mind. I'm just going to do it like this for now. This is my plan. So let me go ahead and glue this on and find where I want to put my attachment, and then I'll show you what mine looks like. Oh, before I forget, I am going to be inking the edges of my papers for this project, and the ink that I'm going to be using is the Tim Holtz. No, I had that. I'm going to be using the Tim Holtz. It's called Gathered Twig. That's what I'm going to be using. It's a brownish color. That's what I'm going to use, or whatever kind of brown ink that you want to do. But I am definitely going to be inking up my edges on mine. Just thought I'd let you know that. Okay, I have my papers on the spines of my albums right now, for now, that I'm going to be doing. But like I said, if you don't want to put your fastener through the chipboard, you need to put it through your paper before you glue it down. Then you can just do it just like that, because that'll work fine too, because this, like I said, this art glitter glue is really strong. It'll hold up to that. So so that's what we're going to do. So what I have, these little filigree pieces that in my stash that I wanted to use, and they have a little hole in the center which I want very much to use. So I was thinking about actually putting these on my spine, and then threading the brad through like that, so it'll look like this on there. So I'm going to find out where I want these on here, and I'll put them on, and then I'll just show you how this turned out. Okay, I have all 3 done. If you don't have the little filigree piece here, what you can do, and which really looks pretty too, is on your little strip, before you attach it to your book, is take a piece of the lace and just put that right down the center. Just glue that to the back of, right on the, and then put your little pull right there, and then just attach that to your spine. That is really pretty too. So that's just another option. So yes, we got them all on. So this is what it looks like in your box. I'm just going to slide them in the box just to give you an idea what they look like. So this is what they look like. And then you just pull with the little pull to pull them out. And that's how that is. So this is where we're at. So I'm going to get those all out. Now, the next thing we need to do with the albums is go ahead and put in the hidden hinge system. See where you can see my bread come through? That's going to be covered up with the hidden hinge that we're going to be making to put in here for our pages. And for the hinge size, what you need for the hidden hinge is you're going to need 3 pieces that are 5 3/4 by 7 3/4. So let me get that, and I'll show you what mine looks like. Okay, so you should have 3 pieces that were cut by 5, what was that? I'm going to get my measurements out. 5 3/4 by 7 3/4. So you should have 3 that look like this. So now what we need to do is we need to score these for our hinges. So let me set this aside. And you're going to put this in your scoreboard and on the 7 3/4 side across here. And I need to bring this up a little bit closer so I can show you. So we're going to start scoring on the 1 1/2. Then we're going to score at 2. Then 2 1/2. Then 2 3/4. Then 3 1/4. Let me move this over so I can see after. 3 1/4 is 3 3/4. 4. 4 1/2. 5. 5 1/4. 5 3/4, and then 6 1/4. And you need to do that on all 3 sides. I mean on all 3 pieces, not all 3 sides, just all 3 pieces. And I'll show you what mine looks like. Okay, I've got them all scored. Now when you look at them, I don't know if you're going to be able to tell on here, but the ones that you're doing, when you look at them, you'll see a large space, and then a little space, and a large space, little space. The 2 large spaces that are together, those are actually your hinges. Those are the part that the pieces that your pages are actually going to be attached to. So how I fold mine is I actually bring my 2, I actually fold in between those 2 larger ones, because I know that's where I mean there's all different ways to do this, but this just is easier for me. So I have all my, and then what I do is I need to set this down. But once I do that, I just pinch it, and then I'm going to fold it towards the smaller one in the front of it, and then I'm going to bend it towards the back one. And when I get to the next one, I do the same thing. I don't know if I'm making it more complicated. And I just fold the larger ones, I'll fold them all towards one side. Like this. So I have them all towards one side, and then what I'll do is when it's down, then I'll just flip them and fold them all towards the other side. So they look like that. So now I've done it. So this is what it's going to look like. You're going to have mountain fold, and this is called a valley fold. But see where you have that? That's a little 1/4 inch spacing we're going to have in between our pages. So when this comes together like this, and this is going to come together like that, and you'll have that little space between. So that's what I do. I just fold it one way, then fold it the other, then come in, fold it one way, fold it the other, and come in and come out. This is just the way that works best for me on that. And when you do this, you'll figure out a way that works best for you too. Because when we flip it over, we're going to put adhesive inside here, and then we're just going to stick the two big pieces together like that. And then we'll stick adhesive in here, and then we'll stick these two big pieces together. So when it's all done in the back, it'll look like that when we're all finished here. So let me show you how I folded this one more time with this one. Let me use this one because this one I actually was off a little bit. So bring the larger one up, and then you bring this towards the front and then towards the back. You're just making creases on all your little marks is all you're doing. And then bring the next big one up, and then fold to the back and then fold to the front. So this is really and then that's how it is. Now I'm gonna redo it again, and then I'm gonna give them a real good burnish with my bone folder, and I'll come back and I'll show you what everything looks like. Okay, I've got all mine folded. So the next thing you're gonna need to do is you're just gonna need to flip them over. Say you got 4 hinges. Those are for your 4 pages. So we're just gonna flip them over. And when you look at it like this, you see the 2 larger ones, you're just going to put score tape on one side of the large. You don't need to put it on both sides. So just one side, skip the small part, and go over and put one down on the larger side. Skip the little small part, put one down on the larger side, skip the small part, and one down on the larger side. And I will show you what mine looks like. Okay, I got them all done, and this is what they look like. Score tape's only on one side of the hinge. So essentially what you have is you have a 1 inch, a 1/2 inch hinge with the 1/4 inch spacing between each one. So that's kind of like what it looks like with the little 1/4 inch spacing. So what we need to do now is just remove the score tape backing and then just stick them together. So let's do that. So let me set those aside. Yeah, I had to bring it up so I can see what I'm doing. And it just lines right up. So this is our first one. So that's what it looks like. And this is the second one. Just going to leave that. And just bring them up, line it up, crease it. Very good. I'm going to do this one. And this is what you end up with. And these are the hinges for your pages. Should have 4. So we're going to have 4 pages. And this is what it looks like on the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take and fold these over all the way and just burnish them really good. They are really stiff. And then just do it the other way. So they look like this. And after you get them to look like that, what we're going to do is we're going to go, and on each one we're just going to cut a little notch out, just a little piece, not a big, not a big piece. It just helps when you go, so just a little piece like that. When you go to put your album in, your pages in, it just helps them slide over, having that little bit taken away. So we'll do that. Yeah, it's just a little sliver, nothing, no big. Now it looks like this. See how we've got the little pieces notched out? So we got it like that. Okay, so this is all set, ready to go. So we just need to do that for the next 2 albums. So let me go do that, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I've got my backing, my score tape on the back of my hinge system. And you can do this 2 ways. I've seen it done both ways. I've seen it done with just wet glue. I've seen it done with just the score tape. I personally like mixing the both together. So what I'm going to be doing is removing the backing, and then I'm going to be lining it up in between these 2 pieces right here, and also down. So I made little marks with pencil where the center is, of how in the center I'm going to be, and how far down I need to come, because I'm coming down about 1/4 of an inch from the top here. And I also made a little mark in my hinge system where the center is. So I'll just line everything up like this with all my little marks. My mark how far down to come, and my center mark here on the top, and I also have a center mark down here on the bottom. So I will line them all up like that, and then after I glue them, I'm going to be as centered as I'm going to be able to get. So this is what I'm going to do with this. So I'm going to remove the backings, and we'll do this one together, and we'll do the other 2 off camera. So let me go ahead and remove the tape, and then we'll do these together. And if you have any, when you're putting your score tape off and you see any sticking out, you need to clip that off or tuck it under after you remove the backing. Sometimes you can just, tuck it under, and that'll be fine. As long as it's not hanging out, you'll be good. So I need to, and then after I remove all this score tape, I'm just going to add some wet glue, and then I'll line everything up. Another piece up here. And let me just add my little wet glue. And then I'll line these other piece. Trying to see if I have a camera here. Okay, now I'm going to have to bring that paper up to me so I can see where my little pencil marks are. So I don't know if I can do this bending over without getting in the way. See where I'm at? Okay, that seems to be in the right spot. So that's, I think we did that. So I'm just going to burnish this really, really good. Let me get that out of the way. And then I go in between. You're going to want to burnish really, really good. There we go. Okay, so that's in. So I'm going to do the other two. I'm going to let that glue just harden a little bit more before I make my creases to close the album. So I'm going to let that set up just like that while I put the other hinges in on the other two books. And I'll be right back and I'll show you what mine looks like. Okay, I have all my hinges in, so everything's in. And I'm still working on, doing this part with my album because I do that very slowly. But in the meantime, we need to cover this right here. I'm going to be covering mine with craft paper. If you're going to be covering yours with pattern paper, you'll probably need to wait till the end of the tutorial to see what papers are left over, because I wasn't planning on using pattern paper right here, right now. So, so if you're going to use the same papers that I'm using, you probably will need to wait till the end to see what we have left over. But in the meantime, you're going to cut 6 pieces of your craft paper for now. That, I've got my measurement right here. They are 4 1/8 by 6. And what we're going to do is we're just going to put them in here and make sure you don't go over that score line right here. So you're going to bring it down. You'll have a little bit of a border all the way around, probably about a 1/16 of an inch. The main thing is to stay away from that score line. That is the main thing. Make sure you stay away. If you even have to have a more smaller, excuse me, a smaller border, that's fine. But because if you go onto that score line, your album's not going to open and close correctly. So the main thing is just to stay away from that. So if it's going to help you to line it up there first and bring it over, then you can do it that way, whichever is easiest for you to do. But right now, let's just cover these areas up with our craft paper, and I'm going to do that, and then I'll show you what mine looks like. Okay, I think we can put this last one on together. I got all the other ones on, and I think I can do this without being in your way. And I just attached all these with the art glitter glue. I didn't use any score tape. But if you want to use score tape, that's perfectly fine. Okay, so they're all covered. So now all we need to do is start working on getting our pages together. So let me get set up for that, and we'll get started getting our pages ready. Okay, for the pages, each little book has 4 pages, so we're going to need 12 total cut from our cardstock. And the measurements for the pages is 8 1/4 by 11 5/8. So we will need 12 of those. 8 1/4 by 11 5/8. So why don't you cut those? And after you cut those, I already got mine pre-cut, some of them. It's going to look like, well, not quite like this. It's going to be like this. And what you're going to want to do, since it's an off measurement, your scoreboard's not going to have the right increments, not unless yours has 16ths. But I found it easier if I just took my paper and just folded it. Fold it in half lengthwise and fold it in half the other way, you know, both ways. Vertical and horizontal. And then you will have it look like this. I just went ahead and just folded mine. I didn't really use a scoreboard on them. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to cut an area out on the right side. You're going to cut on your little crease, and you're going to cut, if you did a score line, if you used a scoreboard, you'll see that you have a little bump. You're going to want to cut on either side of that little bump. So we're just making we're taking a little sliver out. See how there's a little piece missing? It's not just cut, but there's actually, it's like two very narrow cuts that you're going to need to make. So why don't you do that, and I'll show you what we're going to do next. Well, somehow either I didn't press the record button hard enough, or I totally forgot to press the record button, but this part I have to kind of like add into it. I think it stopped when I was telling you needed to cut your pages and cut out the little notches for the folding. I think that's where it stopped. So it's kind of like, so they were going to look like, I know this is black and it might be hard to see, but the part that didn't get recording was this part right here. And this is the little pockets that go inside the albums. And we need 12 of these. And the measurements are 3 1/8 by 4 1/16. And you're going to just fold them in half. And they're going to go in the album. Let me show you. It's going to be hard to see on black, I know. They're going to actually slide like this, and they'll make a little pocket on this page here. So that's what it's going to do. So what you need to decide is if you want to put a decorative cut on your pocket. Some punches will let you punch double thickness through. Mine wouldn't, so I had to do it twice. So you have to decide. And I actually did put a little decorative punch on mine. I used this little Martha Stewart punch I have. I would use a 1/2 inch punch. I wouldn't go really any much bigger than that. And then just punch across on both sides. If you want a decorative edge, you can. If you don't, you can even do something as simple as just rounding the corners. That would be nice too. So that's what you're going to need to do with all 12 pieces. And I think that's all I needed to go back and check my videos. I think that's all that didn't get recorded, is this part right here. So do that, and then we'll just continue on. Okay, so we have all these punched out. So we're going to set this aside for a while, because now we're going to work on finding some paper that we want to cover our box with. So we're going to set these aside and get out our paper pad and see if we can find a paper that we want to cover this with. So let me do that and I'll be right back. Okay, the paper that I think I'm going to use to cover the box is this blue wood grain one. The blue one that looks like wood. It looks like this on the back. I know this is really pretty too, I know. Because I thought when I do my box, I thought it'd be kind of neat to have my box kind of look like a wooden box. You know, when it's all papered up. So this is the one I'm going to choose, is this one. And the measurements for the paper for the box, for this box pattern, we're going to need 2 6 1/8 by 4 3/8. That's going to be for the sides here, so you'll need 2. For the back, you'll need one that's 4 7/8 by 6 1/8. And the top and the bottom, they're the exact same size, 4 3/8 by 4 7/8. So we'll need to just cut our papers, and if you're ready to ink them up, and let's get them on our box and see what they look like, and I'll be back and show you what mine looks like. Okay, I got my pieces cut out, and I have them all inked up, so all I need to do is just glue them to the box. So I'll just start gluing them down. I'm just going to use this art glitter glue. Just glue paper down. Okay, that was the back. Okay, let's do the side. I see something. Looks like this was sticking up a little bit. Okay, let's do the other side. See how it looks, kind of looks like a little wooden. Yeah. And it still doesn't matter yet which one's the top or bottom. Go ahead and do that. Over the bottom. Okay, so we got the outside all done. I'm not sure if I'm going to ink this yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to ink it or if I'm going to put something on. I need to, and we still need to put our paper in the inside, but we're going to wait on that. So we're going to set the box aside, and what we need to do now is we need to cut our paper for our pages, and that's going to be a lot of cutting, because for our pages we are going to need 72 pieces. I know, 72 pieces that are 5 5/8 by 4. So that's what you need to do. So you need to go through your pattern, your paper, and measure 5 5/8 by 4, and we need 72 pieces. So why don't we do that? Okay, I got all those papers cut and inked, and I know that's a lot of work. 72 pieces, and then inking them, it's like, yeah, that's a lot of work. So after we do that, might want to take a break. You're going to want to get your pages, and what we're going to do is we're going to take it and we're going to flip it down like this, like we did before, with the little fold on the top, and then you're just going to open it like that and bring that over. And you need to decide what paper you want for this side and that side, because we need to put the paper on those two pages first before we attach our little pocket. Because if you attach the pocket first, like this, you won't be able to slide your pages in this, because of the glue is going to be taking up too much space, so it's not going to be wide enough anymore to do that. So that's what we need to do first. Decide what pages you want for here and for here, and we'll glue those on, and then we'll attach this all, and we'll do this page together, and then we can do all the other pages on our own. But let's do this page together. So I'm just going to, what did I do with my bone folder? I just want to just sharpen this edge just a little bit more. Okay, so I just have 3 piles because I got, you know, 1 album, 2 album, 3 albums. So this is the album that I'm going to be working on. So I'll just set these aside. It's just easy. I just divided them up into 3. There we go here. So this page first. And I'm just going to be using the art glitter glue to put these down on. Because the only thing that's going on these is pictures. So there's not going to be anything, you know, no embellishments or anything like that that could lift the paper up, because you're just going to be putting sometimes it just doesn't come out. Can you still see me from down there? Yeah. So I'm just going to center it and stay away from your score line over here. There you go. I have to bring it up so I can see. So I can see. And now I'm going to flip it over. And then put one on the other side. I think I might need to clean out my little nozzle there, the little silver. It's not coming out very much as I'd like for it to come out. Okay. Now on this, we're just going to apply a little bit of glue just on the outside edge here. And if you did a decorative punch, you can, include that in there too, just a little bit. Kind of just like that. That's all you need. And we're just going to slide that on. Slide that all the way up where it needs to go. It should fit right in there, away from the hinge there. Should be a perfect fit. So let me push that down. Now when you were cutting your papers out, you probably had a whole bunch of these little strips left. So what you can do, and what I'm thinking of doing, is just taking the little strips and then just putting them, I'm going to put them in there like that on the pocket ones. So I'm going to do that with my little, because we had a, we have like a ton of these left over, so we can just use those up by doing that. So now after we do that, and see here, when you close it, you're going to have a little place here. It's like this is going to be for an insert. We're going to actually make a little insert that goes in here, and on this side, this is the part that actually gets attached to the hidden hinge. So this is the binding system is going to go right in there. So now all we need to do is pick some pages for the front. I don't have these in any special order, so I might move things around as I go, but yep, just glue them down. And that one. Make sure I'm away from that. Okay. Am I go too far on my hinge? I'm just checking my hinge over here. Okay, so now we need to just do this side here. Make sure I'm right side up. And check that one if you have any kind of writing, making sure you're going the right way. Okay, and then the back flap. So I want to do that one. Okay, so this is the first page 1 of 4 for the first book. And I just need to decide which paper I want to use for that. And that's what we have. So now we just need to do that for all our pages. And I'm going to do that, and when I'm done, I'll show you what mine looks like. I decided we can do one more together. We can do one more together. That way you don't feel like I'm rushing through this or not explaining it. So take your page, and then just bring it down, and bring it over, and then just open it like that. I'm just going to flatten that out. Find the page that the piece of paper that you want for here. I'll put that in there. I was getting from the other page, that happens sometimes. I had to open it so I could see. So I was getting that page in my way. I couldn't see. There we go. I'll flip it over and do this side. I guess it doesn't matter. Sometimes it doesn't matter. Take your little pocket and add some glue. And then just slide it on. I see I need to trim a little bit of piece right here. When I did my punching, I had a little piece. I didn't see that. There we go. Okay, so now we got our little pocket. Okay, so now we just need to put paper where we want it. Okay, what do we got next piece here? Okay, so that's what we've got so far. That's going to be two. Okay, and then we just need to put one on the back. Okay, so we've got this one done. So we have 2 pages. As I said, this is for our insert, and this is how it goes on into the book right here. So we've got 2 pages done. Okay, so we're just going to put all the rest of them together, and I'll show you what mine looks like.